Hi guys, I am so sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties. Facebook is not our friend so much, I guess, and we were struggling with getting the right stream key. As I was saying, I'll just start from the beginning. Welcome back. My name is Ale Gonzalez, and I work with BridgingApps, a program of Easter Seals Greater Houston. Summer is quickly coming, and so I wanted to share with you guys some apps for budgeting so that we can start saving that money for the kids being at home during the summer. So, higher grocery bill, any summer vacations you might be thinking of, or really anything that pops up during these summer months. I know it can be a lot. And with prices going up, it can definitely feel a little overwhelming to figure out how to budget in this new world. So I'm going to share two apps with you, one of them being Every Dollar and the other being Daily Budget Original. Both of them are free to download. However, they do have in-app purchases. And what that means is that there are certain features that are locked down unless you choose to buy the premium subscription or the one-time payment. And I'll go into all of those details. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that we can start playing with some of these apps. So the very first app is going to be Every Dollar, and it's a green icon with some dollar bill signs on there. And this is created by Ramsey. So this will be the first screen that you see once you create your account. So when you download the app, as I mentioned, it is free to download. There is a subscription for it. It's $17.99 per month. However, I use this app and I haven't upgraded, and I feel like it still does this job really well. Really, the only thing you'll be missing if you don't upgrade your account would be being able to connect your bank accounts to it, which if you're anything like me, I get a little wary of connecting my bank account information or really any personal type of information to apps. So it might just be best to not even buy the subscription. But it is there. Again, it is $17.99 per month after a 14-day free trial. So when you download the app, you are going to have to create an account, and that's just going to require an email address and a password. And this is so that you have access to this app on any device that you might have. So if you have like an iPad and an iPhone, you can have the app on both devices. As long as you're logged in, you'll still be able to see your budget. To create your budget, you'll go ahead and click on that blue button that says Create April Budget. And then it kind of starts like this. So they have it set up for bi-monthly payments, so paychecks. But if you get paid weekly or if you get paid once a month, then that's something that you can edit by tapping on Paycheck 1 and then clicking on those three dots. And you can either delete, rename, or edit the planned amount. So let's go ahead and say that we are getting paid bi-weekly. So we have 2 paychecks per month, and I'm under the plan tab up here up top. They have the plan tab, the spent tab, and the remaining tab. To create your budget, you want to be in the plan tab. You're going to go ahead and tap where it says $0, and you'll see that it is highlighted, and it'll bring up the keyboard, and you'll type in what your paycheck is usually like for that first time that you get paid. So let's say I get paid $1,500 my first paycheck and another $1,500 my second paycheck. So you go ahead and type in those numbers and then click the enter or return button. And then if you scroll up, you'll see that planned income tab on the left side of the screen that says $3,000. That's how much I have for the month. What I like about this app is that it's very much so every dollar that you make has a job, which really helps me budget, because once I see that money hitting my bank account, I already have a specific category or a specific job that dollar is meant for. So I never have to worry about, oh, what about this bill or what about this bill? Like, I've already pre-planned all of that. I've even included unexpected expenses in my budget so that I can be prepared if something like that happens. It already comes built in with several categories. So for giving, church, charity, for savings, some usual housing, bills, transportation, food, personal, and all of that. However, you have that option to add an item. So it is very customizable. It is very personalized to what your life and what your spending is like. All you have to do is click on that add item, and it'll create another label under that category. So if I wanted to, for lifestyle, I have a gym membership. So then that's something that I can go ahead and add here. I can hit add item and then gym, and I can add it right there. However, they put gym here under health, so they already have a tab for it. So to go ahead and add your expenses, I'm going to start from the beginning. And for rent, let's say my rent is $900 a month. So all I do is tap on that $sign on the right side, and I tap in my amount, and then I click enter. And then let's say my water, let's say it's $50 a month. Electricity, I have I don't turn on my AC when it doesn't need to be turned on, so I can keep it low, $100 a month, right? And then I don't have cable, I don't have trash, groceries. I usually spend about $300 a month. So I'll go ahead and type that in, $300. For restaurants, let's be fun, a little kind, and give ourselves $250 for the month. And you kind of go in typing in those amounts for all of these categories. And if you see up here, it tells me that I have $1,400 left to budget. So this is a $0 budget. You want to zero out all of that planned income you have. Once you put in that $1,400, so let's say the rest I'm going to put into an emergency fund. Then you'll see at the top that it'll tell you it's an every dollar budget. So now every single dollar of those $3,000 now has a job, now has a category that it's going to go into. So once you go ahead and you make a transaction, there are really two ways to make a transaction, and you can be either in the plan tab or the remaining tab. What I like to do is that once I create my budget, I always go to the remaining tab, because this is going to tell me how much money I have left for that particular category. So for example, let's say my parents helped me out with rent this month and I only had to pay $500 and they helped me out with the other $400. So then that'll show me that I have $400 remaining in this tab for rent. So that means that if something else comes up, or let's say I worked out a deal with my landlord and I'm able to pay, $500 one week, $400 another week, that shows me that I still have that amount remaining within that tab. Same thing, I go out for groceries and let's say I only had to spend $100 there in 1 week. So then with the second week that comes, when I go grocery shopping again, I no longer have those $300 and I don't have to spend time trying to remember, well, how much did I spend last time I went? How does this add to my budget? How much can I spend now? It'll go ahead and calculate it for you and tell you that you have $200 left for groceries for the month. And really, this is what you get for the free version. If you like to do it without having to connect your bank account, it's just really a way to keep track of your money and see where it goes, then this app would be very beneficial for you because it's so user friendly. It's really just this one page that you're going to be on. And what I like about it is that when you go up to for May, you can create your May budget and it'll copy your expenses from the past budget. So from the April budget. So my paychecks are still the same. Rent is still the same, water, electricity, and all of that. So you really only have to create your budget one time, think about all of your expenses one time, and then it'll just copy and paste for the remaining months. You can always go in and edit this under the plan tab. So let's say rent changed and now I have to spend $1,000. You can always change that in your May budget, and when you create your June budget, it'll change that accordingly so that now rent is $1,000. So I think it's pretty easy to use, especially if you've never really created a budget before, you're brand new to using technology and you're trying to find an easy app to use. I think this can be really beneficial. Like I said, I just started budgeting a couple months ago and this app just really helped me get it together. It does have other features that are part of the planned features. and of the upgrade features. And what that does is that it allows you to connect your bank account so you don't have to go in and manually input your expenses. It also allows you to go ahead and view a chart, kind of like we see down here, of where your money is going to, what you're spending. It can be beneficial for you if you're a visual person and you kind of like to see those graph charts. But if you're just trying to keep track of your money for the first time ever, the premium version really isn't necessary unless you like those features. The second app that I'm going to go ahead and show you guys is called Daily Budget Original. It's this yellow icon right here with the piggy bank app. And what I really like about this one is that it breaks down a big, complicated budget into just how much money can you spend per day. A lot of the times, and this is one of the very first apps that I ever used before I switched over to EveryDollar. And I liked it because I wasn't always concerned with like looking at the big numbers and seeing, oh, I have to spend $900 in rent, or I have to spend this and this and this. And then unexpected expenses occur. And now I'm like, well, I have less money to spend now, and I just don't know where I'm at. I don't know where I'm sitting. This kind of takes all of that confusion away, because once you build your budget and put in all of your recurring expenses, it's actually going to tell you how much money you can spend per day. So when you're going out for lunch, you're going out with your family or friends, you know exactly how much you can spend per day. And if you don't spend that, $50 that you have set for the day, then it'll roll over to tomorrow, and tomorrow you'll have $100 to spend. So it was really kind of like competitive game for me. Like, oh, I'm not going to spend any money today because I know I'm going out on Friday. And instead of having only $50 to spend on Friday, I can save all of my money for the week and have, X amount more on Friday. So to go ahead and create your budget, this does have a couple more tabs, so it can be a little bit more difficult if you're starting out with apps, but I do think it's still beneficial because of that daily budget. So to create it, you're going to click on that second tab that says Daily Budget, and you have three options: regular income, recurring expenses, and savings. Let's start with our regular income, and we're going to go ahead and click that plus icon and type in same thing. So this is set for monthly. So I'm going to go ahead and put, I get paid $3,000 monthly. So if you see underneath, it's already telling me that based on that $3,000 monthly that I'm getting paid, I have $100 per day to spend for the month of April. And this adjusts depending on how many days are in the month. So if, February only has 28 days, then it'll divide that $3,000 by 28 days. Same thing if a month has 31 days, then it'll do that as well. So now that I've added my income, it has changed my blue screen to saying $100 per day. But now we have to go in and add our recurring expenses. So for our recurring expenses, we can go ahead and let's put, that same $900 for rent, right? And this happens monthly. You can change the date. So most of us pay rent on the 1st. And you can choose an end date for this recurring expense to end, or you can just put it an open end, right? So that means it never ends. So this would be rent. And so let's do another one. And let's say, we have $50 for water. You're going to go ahead and hit save. And then we're doing $100 for internet. And again, this happens, let's say we pay our internet on the 20th. So now we see here, when we go all the way back, we see that we have $66.18 to spend for each day in the month of April. Now, the last tab that we want to work on is this savings. So how this works, you go ahead and hit that plus sign again, and you can do it by percentage. So how much do you want to save per day? So you can go as low as 1%, which would be 66 cents a day. But if you're just starting out your savings, this might be something that could be helpful, because you're not going to feel 66 cents as much as $50 a day when, your budget is $66 per day, right? So let's start off, at a healthy amount. Let's do a 15%, right? So that's going to take off $9.93 per day. And so when we go back, that has adjusted our daily budget, and that shows me that I have $56 to spend per day. So if I go back to my balance tab, we'll see here that today I have $56. And it's showing me if you don't spend any money today, then on Saturday you'll have $112 to spend. And if you don't spend any money today and Saturday, then on Sunday you'll have $168 to spend. So that's kind of how I said that's little competitive game, or at least it was for me, because I always wanted to see that later day growing and growing and growing, and I felt like I had achieved something. It's all of that dopamine effect, right? To create so let's say you had you went out to lunch and you have to input that transaction, right? You're going to go ahead and click that minus button because you're taking away money. So that's transaction. And you can pick the category that it's going to be under. So as you see here, all of these other extra categories are grayed out. And that's because that's part of the premium package for this app. This app is $11.99, and that's going to be a one-time payment. So you're not going to have to pay it every single month. It's just those $11.99 one time, and you have access to all of these other extra features that the app comes with. But again, if you don't want to spend that $11.99, we're trying to budget for that summer vacation, then you can still use this app freely, and then just put it under household. And the cool thing about it is that you can create a note down here. So you can always kind of manage your money that way. So let's say I went out to lunch and I spent $25. Now I'm going to go ahead and type in the $25. And then the cool thing is this distribute button back here. So let's say this was a bigger payment. So let's say one of my tires popped and now I'm out $200, right? Well, I only have $50 to spend per day. If I put in $200, that's going to take away money for the next, 4 days now? Because that's $50 per day. So instead, what you can do is you can hit that distribute button and it'll take that $200 away from a certain time period. So you can put 3 days, a week, or a month. So if you were to put a week, instead of taking out that $200 and losing out, for 4 days not having any money to spend, it can spread out that expense to where you're only spending $28 per day. And so if I were to do that, I go back to my balance. Now I have $27 to spend today, $55 tomorrow if I don't spend those $27 and vice versa. And it'll keep going on for a week with that $28 missing from my daily budget. If you don't want to do that, if it's just, again, you just went out to lunch, let's say it was $15, then you type it in and then you just hit save. And you'll see right there that you spent $15 today. So now you're $12.68, and it adjusts how much money you're going to have for tomorrow and Sunday if you save those $12. It has this tab for extra income. So for those of us that do freelance work, you do babysitting on the side, something on the side, you can always go ahead and add that extra income either as ongoing. So it's happening weekly, monthly, whatever it might be, or it can be like a future income that's going to come in. You're going to have a babysitting gig 2 weeks from now and it's going to be $300. You can go ahead and put that in. For big expenses, you can, so right there, it tracked our $200 big expense that we spent on our tire. You can always go to this tab and add that big expense, and then it automatically turns on the distribution feature. The transactions, you're able to see what you're spending money on, and it shows you how much you spent on a particular day and how much money you have left. And then it has settings where you can go ahead and sync to the cloud your whole budget. You can set reminders so that, most of us, when we go out, we're not going to remember to put in those expenses right there and then. So you can set a reminder at 10 p.m., 9 p.m. at night to go in and enter all of your expenses, whatever works best for you. It also has the pin protection, which is one of the upgraded features for Daily Budget Original. It can be very beneficial, especially if, we're lending our phone out to family members, to children, whatever it might be. We don't want them getting into this app and seeing our personal financial information, but we also don't want them to, accidentally click buttons and, mess up our budget. So it does have that pin feature for the pro version of this app that allows you to put a 4-digit pin. So when you try to open the app, you would have to put in that pin in order for the app to actually open. All right, so those are our 2 budgeting apps. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments for us. Amy is putting in the link for both of the apps and the reviews that we have on our app search tool. And so last thing that I wanted to share with you guys is our Walk With Me, which is our yearly fundraiser held at the Houston Zoo. This is a 5K walk happening at the Houston Zoo next Saturday, April 22nd. You don't have to come and walk. You can just come and spend the day at the zoo with us. And just remember that your donations help us reach more people so that we can help them out with their technology, educate them on how to use it. You can sign up or donate in the link below in the comments. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.